Welcome back to another episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, I am your host, Carter C. And so today I thought we would talk about the age of the presidential candidates. Now, first two political videos have dropped and got, some good responses coming. And obviously people disagree. And I think one of the reasons why I started doing some of this, some of these political themed videos is because for the express reason why some people are saying, hey, maybe you should avoid this if you want to stay relevant in the YouTube land and all that kind of stuff. And, I know some people don't like to discuss politics, but I do. And I don't mind if we disagree. In fact, people that disagree make the world interesting. So what I don't like is being censored. What I don't like is people at work saying you can't talk about these things. And then yet they talk about whatever they want to talk about. But then we're not supposed to talk about things that we want to talk about. So I don't really like that. So I'm taking advantage of having a YouTube channel and being a house husband and not having a boss that, tells me I can't talk about certain things because it made somebody uncomfortable or whatnot, and all the HR nightmares and stuff. It's just, hey, if you don't like what I'm talking about, even if you disagree, but you just don't want to talk about it, you don't have to watch today's video. And I think that's the wonderful thing about videos on YouTube. If you have the freedom to watch, to not watch, you have the freedom to agree and the freedom to disagree. The only thing that I would ask is that if you make a comment, whether it's in agreement or in disagreement, that you be respectful and say, I disagree with you. And that's fine. Say, hey, I disagree with you. I think this point, is overblown, or this point isn't valid because X, Y, and Z. And I'm more than happy to redo a video and say, I was completely wrong. Somebody showed me something that I didn't know and I made a false comment. That doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I think that's what makes us more intelligent. That's what makes us better, is to have difficult conversations and difficult discourse and then learn from it and grow. And I think this whole censorship culture, political correctness is, now it's been brought on by the Democrats, and that's just a fact. And I think it's made the country worse over the last 20 to 25, 30 years, that we don't talk about certain things, and you're not allowed to say certain words, and you're not allowed to do all of this stuff. And it really cramps freedom. And then it has increased the divisions between people in this country, because we're not free, or we don't feel free to discuss differences and then come to a mutual understanding or a mutual agreement to agree to disagree. Or maybe we learn something from someone and you go, wow, I was really an idiot. I should have, thanks for teaching me. I learned something. And we don't get that opportunity to learn from each other when we just refuse to broach certain topics. So, this is my channel. These are my videos. So I'm not going to apologize for being up on that soapbox. But that's why I'm having making these videos, is because I want to put these conversations out there. And I think, I'm going through a learning process with lighting and video, sound, everything. And so, as these videos progress and I get to 100 videos next month and on and on and on into the summer, I'll start to try to invest more in the whole setup, and then have guests. I really would love to have guests and have conversations so that it's not just me. But at the same time, I have to have a channel, and I have to have, a lot of videos and show consistency and well thought out. Well, to some people, they may be well thought out, but it's, content. And then other people would like to join because it's a legitimate channel. And so that's basically what I'm doing. I'm putting things out there. I'm putting videos out there, thoughts, ideas, and really in hopes that, I'll show enough mettle, enough grit, enough determination, enough consistency, and enough good thoughts that people will want to engage and become guests on the show. And then we can have all sorts of people, the people that I agree with, people that I disagree with, because really it's not just, oh, I think I'm right on everything. I do think I'm right on everything from the standpoint of that's why I think it. I don't think anybody thinks they're wrong and then continues in those thoughts, if that makes sense. Like if you know your thought process is wrong, I would think most people would change that thought process. So they go, I don't think this is right, so let me find out, what other people think or something that's valuable, and then change their thought process. So I think anybody that espouses a belief thinks they're right, and that's why they have that belief. I don't think people willingly believe things that they don't think are right. I may be wrong, but I don't think so. Hope this microphone sound is better. But let's get on to the topic of the day, which I find fascinating, and it's the age of the presidential candidates. Now, the reason why, this kind of came up, I thought about it back when Hillary was running against Trump in 2016, and I was like, man, they're kind of old. And so I looked, and Trump was actually the oldest president ever at the start of his term in I guess it was 2017, January 2017 when he started. He was the oldest person ever to start a presidency. He was only like a couple hundred days older than Ronald Reagan, but he was still the oldest. So, and I went back and I looked, and I want to say that Reagan and Trump were the only two presidents. We've only had 45, right? Were the only two presidents that started a term at 70 or right around 70, 69. Maybe there was one or two more, but really most of them were a good bit younger than that. So that was just kind of what started it was, man, Trump's kind of getting up there, and then looking at, man, Sanders and Joe Biden now, and whoa, it's like it's exploded because we're 4 years later, 4 years after 2016, we're in 2020, and it's the same crowd running for president that was running 4 years ago. And it's like, what? Like, we couldn't come up with a younger group of people that are intelligent, that are hardworking, that would make, potentially good presidents? Whoa. All right. So this year, 2020 election year, you've got the incumbent Donald Trump, who's 73 years old. He'll be 74 at the election in November. 74. Bernie Sanders is 78. He'll be 79 at the election. Elizabeth Warren is 70. She'll be 71. Joe Biden, which if Elizabeth Warren wins, which she didn't do well in Iowa, we'll see how she goes. She would be, every single one of the people on this that I'm getting ready to say, with the exception of the Pete Buttigieg guy, would be every other one of the Democratic nominees or potential nominees would be the oldest president ever if they beat Trump, other than Pete. Elizabeth Warren, 70, she'll be 71. Joe Biden, 77, he'll be 78. Hillary Clinton, I know she hasn't jumped in yet, but she's doing the rounds on Ellen DeGeneres and all. Like, why is she still around? If she's not running for president, if she's not involved in all this, like, just stay. Like, you don't see George Bush talking to people. I know he can't run for president anymore because he had 2 terms, but like you don't see those has-beens still involved, like the Clintons just can't get out of it. It's just, anyway, so I'm putting her in there because I think she's gonna run. I do. I may be wrong, but if Joe Biden loses, and so I'm recording this obviously after Iowa, did the caucus and stuff. If Joe Biden loses, and he looks like he's going to lose, and it's Buttigieg versus Sanders, I'm 100% sure Hillary Clinton's going to jump back in. And she's going to whip up her supporters, and she's going to try to take down Sanders again and think that Sanders and Buttigieg are going to split that, far left vote, and she'll get normal Democrats or more moderate Democrats. And try to get, the majority of the votes. I'm 100% sure that's going to happen. So she's 72. She'll be 73 at the election. Pete Buttigieg has said says 38, and he'll be 38 at the election. His birthday's in January. It's already happened this year. And then Bloomberg is 78, and he'll be 78 if he, I don't know what his deal is. But is that not crazy to you that right now, of the people running for president, other than Pete Buttigieg being 38, every single one of those candidates is 70 years or older? Every single one. That's wild to me. Do you know how many 70-year-olds you would like give the keys to your car and just say, have at it? Like, you go, no, I think I'll help you out. You know, like you need help carrying bags to the, from the grocery store into your car or something. Like I don't think of 70-year-olds or closing in on 80-year-olds as people that I want running my country. I mean, I get it that Trump, has a ton of energy and, I don't know. It seems like it's natural, but I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if there aren't some of these people that show all this energy all the time, but they're not doing something. Because I have bad days, and my energy level dips, and I'm half their age or close enough to half their age. So, anywho, I thought that was wild that the average age outside of PB peanut butter is basically like 75. Give or take. I just think that's crazy to me because that's so much older than, historically speaking, the ages of presidents. So the sweet spot for presidential ages is somewhere between 45 and 60. That's kind of the average age for starting. I know that's a wide range, but I mean, that pretty much gets the majority of presidents started their first term between the ages of 45 and 60. And we're not even close. You got Pete Buttigieg, who's 38, and you've got everybody else who's 70 plus. So we're not going to have anybody that's close in that age range. And then obviously if Trump wins, he was the oldest person to start a presidency. He'd be the oldest person to end a presidency if he lived all the way through his 8 years. So is what it is. So then I looked at, okay, well, what do we have coming in the future in 2024? So let's talk about that, right? Because that gets me pretty interested. So my guess is Pete, if he doesn't win, right? Because I mean, obviously we don't know who's going to win in November. I'm leaning towards a Trump victory, but who knows? Pete Buttigieg will be 42. He's getting close to that 45 to 60 range in 2024. AOC is going to be 35, and that's terrifying because she's so far out in left field and so far out to lunch. And she'll say anything, and she's got a whole bunch of nimnuts that will just like retweet her stuff, and they don't know nothing. Like, they don't know nothing, and it's terrible. Like, she's going to run. I know she's going to run, and there's going to be a whole bunch of people that don't think at all that are going to like get behind her because she's going to say just absolutely insane stuff. These ideas of putting stuff forward that just don't even come close to making sense. And so hopefully she'll just flame out in the next 4 years and won't be around. But I don't know. A guy can wish. So she'll be the minimum age of 35. And I know that's going to be a story, right? First female president, youngest president in history. I mean, it's all going to be about first that don't matter, right? There's no substance to being the first of something or the youngest. There's no. It's just because it's a popularity contest, which that's going to be another video too. What's the job description? Have you ever seen a job description for president of the United States? It's the most powerful job in the world. You're the most powerful person in the world. You're the president of the United States. And we don't have a job description. Anybody other, like the job description is you have to be born American or be a naturalized citizen, or I don't know what it is. I mean, I think you have to be 35 and you have to be like a born American or something like that. And that's it. That's your job. If you can get enough votes, then yeah. I mean, theoretically, we could vote anybody in as president, which is interesting. All right, back to ages. Hillary Rodham Clinton is going to be 77. I still think if she doesn't jump in and win this election, I think she'll be around next one. She's not giving it a rest. She's not retiring and enjoying life. She's still involved. It's the only thing she knows. So I think if she doesn't get the nomination this year, which I think she will, but even if she does get the nomination this year, I still think she loses to Trump because she's already lost. But I still think she'll try again in 4 years because she just wants to win. I think she desperately wants to be the first female president, and I just don't think she's going to let it go. And I will say this too. I think a woman would be a fine president. I don't have a problem with that at all. But I don't think Hillary Rodham Clinton is the best choice for female president. So just throwing that out there. Then Elizabeth Warren will be 75. So you've got the older people, the historical people. You know, I'm guessing that Bernie Sanders isn't going to try to run at 83. Maybe he will. Maybe he'll give it one more go. I'm guessing Joe Biden won't try at 82. Maybe he will. And I'm guessing Mike Bloomberg won't try at 82 either. But then I don't know who else. You've got the others. You've got Cory Booker. You've got Kamala Harris. You've got some other Democrats that may want to try to run, for the nomination on the left that are, I didn't look up their ages, but they're sort of in that middle 40-some-year-old, 50-some-year-old range, and that's just pretty typical. So then I look at the Republican side of things for 2024, and you see Ted Cruz would be 53 at the election. Marco Rubio would be 53 at election. John Kasich would be 72. So he'd be right there as, he'd be the oldest president first time if he won, but I don't think he would. And then Mitt Romney would be 77. And, with the way the impeachment votes went and Romney being the only one that left, that was bipartisan or whatever you want to say, that didn't vote for Republican side, only on one of the votes. I'm wondering if he's setting himself up for some sort of middle of the road, reaching out to moderate Democrats, reaching out to moderate Republicans to say, hey, I voted, for Trump on that one charge because, and he can say that he was the only one that really stood up for something different. It sniffed slightly of a future political move rather than actually his faith led him to it and this was egregious and the kind of all the things that he said. It just didn't really, I don't know. Mitt Romney might be trying to set himself up for 2024 because really you look at 2024 once Trump is done and it's a complete vacuum again on the Republican side, and it'll be real interesting to see what happens in this election with Sanders and Buttigieg, and I do think Hillary Clinton, because that'll really set up the 2024 race. If just how Pete sets himself up. Is he gonna, would he support someone else? Would he grab someone else and say, you can be my VP? I mean, what I've never understood, I think I said this in the first video I did on the politics on the Iowa caucus, but it blows my mind that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders wouldn't just team up. I know their ideologies are somewhat different, but if they would just put aside, what's stopping? They should know that if they team up, they would win. And isn't being vice president better than not being, president or vice president? Isn't it better than being a senator? I mean, I would think so, right? And then if you do a good job and you win, and you George H.W. Bush back in the 80s, he was the vice president for 8 years under Reagan, and then he won and became president. So wouldn't you, or I would think, if I were Elizabeth Warren or if I was Bernie Sanders, and I go, hey, vice president is better than senator. Maybe it's not. Maybe vice president sucks. I don't know. But if you do a good job and the president does a good job, then you have a foothold. You have a good chance of winning an election, especially if you're kind of an outspoken, hardworking, vice president. I think you could earn a lot of airtime and a lot of free, advertising of like, you do a really good job after the presidency, when your turn was up. I don't understand why those two don't team up. And I know they like completely hate each other from one of those other things, calling each other liars and everything. So that makes me laugh, because they're both super liberal Democrats, and then you go, man, and then they just hate each other. And then you just see how everybody just hates everybody, and they're all lying about how they want to help anybody, because they can't even put their own egos aside and just and make a winning ticket, So I'll be interested to see how Pete Buttigieg gets out of this, because he's young enough. He could be somebody's vice president, but I'm sure people are telling him that that's political suicide. You don't want to be a losing vice president candidate. But at the same time, he's winning or close, neck and neck with Bernie. So, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next 9 months or so before the election, and then to set him up in 4 years. Because often, people are riding a wave, and then in 4 years they don't have the same wave. I don't know what he's going to do for the next 4 years if he doesn't win the Democratic nomination and then doesn't win president. Is he going to go on a speaking tour? Is he going to write books? Is he, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how they set that up. But it'll be 2024 looks like we'll be reverting back to, there'll be some older candidates, and then there'll be some much younger candidates. And then on the Republican side, it looks like there'll be some candidates that are in the middle. And then really, we've yet to see, I'm sure there's going to be new people that pop up in the 2024 election. And, it's just interesting to me to have these discussions, like I said, to begin with, that people aren't really having the mainstream news media is not picking up anything. Does somebody's age matter? I think it does. I think there are individuals that do a better job of aging, but I also think it's just fascinating when you look at. And I should have done this for this video. I didn't even think about it, but I think Pelosi's 80. What's the guy's name? The Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, that guy, like, he's old as dirt. Like, I don't even know how he's still, I don't know, something's wrong there. He's just, I don't understand how all of these 80-year-olds are in positions of power, because let's be honest, like, if I'm getting on an airplane, right, and I've got like a 14-hour cross, Pacific Ocean, I'm flying to Japan or something, and I see like the captain and the co-pilot are both like 80 plus years old. Nope. Can we get somebody else up in here? Like, I'm not trying to, no, like, I'm not trying to get on a plane with you guys flying that plane. So why do you have the keys to the country? You're making decisions for 330 million people, that you're making economic decisions and political decisions, job decisions, voting decisions. All sorts of stuff for the next 15 to 20 years. It takes a long time to undo stuff that presidents potentially can do. Potentially you can also, if you just do an executive order, you can just, but it's just very interesting. And I think this gets into something like my next video, which will be the age of the Supreme Court justices, and putting age limits for Supreme Court justices, because that's what really got me into thinking wait a minute, we've got like some serious issues with like super old people in positions of power in the U.S. And I don't know that people know this, or people are thinking about it. We've got so much going on in our daily lives with, trying to get a job, trying to keep a job, not making as much money as people once were. The cost of housing and food and cars and everything and insurance and all that jazz. And so I think we're under a lot more stress in today's day and age to keep a certain lifestyle. It's a lot harder than it was maybe 40 years ago. And so I don't know that people are as aware of kind of this aging group of people that have a stranglehold on our positions of power. So I just wanted to shed light on it, see what you think. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the House Husband Diaries. As always, you can comment. I'll get back to you. You can email me, carter@hhdiaries.com. And like, subscribe, do all those thingies, and I'll keep bringing you content on the reg. Have a great day.